Good morning everybody, it's Chris here from Serene Education with the 4 major analysis update for the 24th of May 2011. I'm looking at the Euro US dollar daily time frame to start with. Notice yesterday we had another bearish day after resistance was found on the underside of the 50 period moving average and subsequently on the underside of a previous swing. Let's put that in so you can see previous swing, breakout, pullback, and then the continuation lower. So, and where we are now in relation to that is we're testing the last swing and we're trading on the underside of that. So what we want to do now is see price fell to trade any higher, and if we can see price closing lower than that, then that will just bode well to creating a lower swing, and then that'll just set us up hopefully a break of 1400, which has been a prior resistance and support area in the past, and a break of that would see price looking at 13,800 to start with, around the 200 period moving average, a bit of consolidation in between all that, looking at around about 13,500. So there's still a lot of movement to be seen in this. If you look at the extension from the high to the pullback, you'll notice that 38.2% fib is where we are now at 1400, and which it's testing as we speak. So if we see price fail to break the prior swing to the downside, i.e. this dark line here that I've just put in at roughly the 14, let's have a look here, just above 1407. So if you can put that in as a ceiling level, 1407, if price could still be trading below that come the latter part of the US session today, then we'll probably see further extensions to the downside. So if we just go to, if I zoom out here in 1407, let's have a look at that on the intraday. So let's have like an hourly, for example, 1407. There we go, 1407. There we're trading right at it as we speak. And you can see that this massive down move on an hourly, CTC is in our favor. We're trading well below all the moving averages, and then we had a break of that, and then we posted a higher swing on each one, and we saw price move in the opposite direction and consolidating. Now consolidating under a prior swing that we saw on a daily, which is the 1407 mark. So if it fails to break higher than that, and we got news out this morning on this pair GMT. We have we've got German final GDP quarter-on-quarter figures, but we have the German info business climate figures. The previous was 114.2 and the forecast is 113.9, so slightly lower figure than previous. If that's the case, then we could see price reverting to the downside once the 50 period moving average swings into play. These figures only coming out at 9 AM GMT this morning, so there's a bit of time this morning for the market to get to the seats and to decipher what's likely to occur. But as we are in a negative trend for this pair, look for hopefully the 1407 to hold steady and remain as resistance, and if that's the case, then we could see a push lower to at least the upper trend, this little intermediate trend around about the 1403. But if it breaks to the upside, then we could expect a bit of consolidation to occur on a bigger time frame, and as I mentioned, if it remains steady, then we could see a further push to the upside. However, 1407 needs to be in play. If we see we don't see a breach of that, and the news is negative come euro, then we could at least see the trend line being tested, but ultimately the 1400 mark, which is a long-term daily support and resistance line, as your first target. Break of 1400, well then we're looking at, as I mentioned, we could be looking at the 50 period at 13,900 as another possible target, and 61.8 would take us to 13,800, and the 100% extension of the initial move on a daily would take us way down to 1345. So there's movement still to be seen in this. So let's keep it simple. Breach of 1407. If you look at your 15-minute candle, for example, a breach of the 1407 mark wouldn't give you much upside movement. We've got the 200 period moving average coming to play, and that area, the next ceiling level, if a break of that would occur, would be roughly around the 14,300 mark, which would bring you into the 200 period moving average of this time frame as previous support and resistance. Notice the extension to the downside on this. It's trading below the institutional moving average. Above the small time frames moving average on this time frame, you can see higher swings dictating that, but it needs to close quite bullishly on above the 1407 mark to give us confirmation that we further see any more consolidation to the upside. If not, then we could see prices rolling over and trading lower. CTC, you can see, is very much negative, not much blue in there, and consolidating during the latter part of yesterday, going into the Asian session, into European session open. So as it stands now, 1407 is our guideline. Trading above that, look for further progressions to the upside. Trading below that, look for further extensions to the downside. Good old sterling against US dollar. Let's have a look at the daily time frame. Here again, you can see the progression to the downside after coming off a high. What we've seen since then is bearish engulfing, and then clear indications of further downside movement after posting lower swings and breaking prior swings to the upside. And you can see we're trading below the 50 period moving average, and subsequently for a number of days just channeling, not pretty much going anywhere. Slight edge of prior swing to the upside high. We've seen resistance, 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 indecision, decision candle, and now we need to trade the decision. And Asian market, we've seen price drop lower but subsequently pull back, and our first port of call for this pair would be the 1600 mark, primarily because it's a very strong long-term support and resistance line. If I just put in this horizontal line, you can see here major resistance there, breakout, major support, support on a long-term basis here, and yet again. So a number of weeks where we've seen strong, a number of months in fact, we've seen strong support and resistance on this line. So ideally lower swings as it's been posted. Indecisions this yesterday took us lower than that prior support area, consolidation support, and we've seen a breakout yesterday. Now we've seen price trade lower in this band and forming a lower swing due to that. So 1600 would be our next port of call. You can see Asian market trading and European session open has seen price revert to the upside, and what we're seeing is the moving average crossovers for the small time frame. CTC on a daily has now gone red, so long time looking very bearish. Remember, the CTC is very much a lagging indicator, you can see that. So what we're looking at, 1600 is our first target. Trading at the upper range, as you can see, there could be a possibility of a pullback as long as price fails to break higher than the 1600 mark price support. Then we could see this being the next consolidation and then a lower swing being posted. Just remember that in a downtrend you need lower swings. So since the high, all we've seen is swing low, swing low, swing low, and 1600 now is our next target for this pair. So intraday, let's look at the 1600 as our ceiling level. Ideally we want to stay below the previous close, in this case the 1200 mark. If you can stay intraday lower than that, then it will be definitely a good signal. However, we could see a possible pullback to the underside of the 1600 mark, primarily because it was a strong support, price support, and that'll be our new resistance, and we should see further progression to the downside. So let's mark that in 1200 on intraday. So let's look at an hourly, for example. You can see the CTC is well extended in our favor. I'll just put in that 1200 mark. Notice support, breakout, pullback, continuation, break. So you can see that price is now the swings. There we go. You can see that swing that was low on that one. Now we need to see something happen over here. If we see a failure break of 1200, then we could see a retest of the 1607, but ultimately we're looking at our first port of call, if I can just get to it, is the 1600 mark. So it's way off on an hourly. Lots of movement to be seen, and you can see as we speak now on an hourly chart, indecision occurring. Asian market is indecision candle as we reach this prior ceiling level that I mentioned as the previous day's low. Okay, and if we can stay lower than yesterday's candle, then it'll just bode well for further downside movement. A break higher than 1612 would confirm that we're going to see more price action happening at the top end of the candle, which would confirm that we're seeing more bullish sentiment creeping in, and we could see a possible pullback occurring because of that. And if we look at the daily chart again, then I mentioned that we could be looking at ultimately 1600 being a possible target, and I'll just note that in, and that's it there. And if it fails, that would be our next one. If it broke above that, then obviously we're going to see a definite look at further extensions to the upside, and we could see a long-term consolidation over the next couple of days or so. Failure to break above 1200 would confirm intraday sentiment is still negative. We have news out on the sterling pair at 9:30 a.m. GMT. Public sector net borrowing. The previous figure was 16.4 billion. They're expecting a lower figure. They're only expecting public sector borrowing to be 5 billion. It'll be interesting to see that. I don't quite believe it's going to be that good. If it comes out negative, it comes out at 6 or less, or higher, apologies, and then we could see this really reflecting in the price action. I think sterling as it is at the moment now, like its euro counterpart, is very much negative. If it comes out higher than 5 billion, I mean, like if it comes out at 4 billion or 3 billion, then sheesh, brilliant news. However, 6 billion or more, I think we could see it jeopardize price action, and we could see a full extension further to the downside. So to look at intraday, make sure price fails to break higher than 1200 to give us a definite indication of bearish sentiment, because we can see we're testing a price support. If it does break higher, then we could see this consolidation acting a little bit more, and if the news comes out more favorable for this public sector borrowing, then we could see price really push higher, and 1600 would be our next port of call for price if it finds support at 1200. Next up is the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Just looking at the daily, you can see the US dollar has found a slight bit of support yesterday after a pullback, and we had a bullish engulfing pattern yesterday, literally cancelling out 3 days of indecision. So after a reattempt of a previous swing high and a previous support and resistance level, previous support, breakout, resistance, and that's coming around about the 892.3 mark. So we saw push higher with swing highs, and then there was a previous low, and then since then we've had swing high, bang into this resistance level, prior support, then a pullback. You can see that pullback. Let's have a look and see how far that extension pullback was to the 50%, and then we've seen a reattempt of the 50 period. So you can see that price doesn't feel like this pullback wasn't significant as prior, and due to that, this is a very clear indication that the US dollar wants to push higher against the the US dollar finding a bit of strength against the Swiss franc. And if we do an extension, fib extension, you'll notice that that's the extension. If it breaches this previous resistance level at 893, 894, 100 mark, and it'll break above the all important 50 period moving average, which has acted as a resistance level in the past. If it broke above that, then it would take us clearly above the 61.8 or the 50%, and then obviously the next port of call, this extension here, we want to see that in the pullback, but we want to see the next extension, which is 2, will take us up to at least the 91500 mark, which is well above prior swing low to the downside, and that would be definitely confirmation that the US dollar is strengthening against the Swiss franc, and we could see further extensions to the upside for this pair. It'll be interesting to see if the 38.2 holds steady. At the moment now, you can see the over the Asian market trading session, we have seen the the pair trading thereabouts at the previous support resistance level. That coming into play would be the 50 period moving average at the 38.2 fib mark, roughly around the 0.8992 mark. So that's going to be our ceiling level. A breach of that today and a breach of the 50 period moving average or close higher than that would definitely confirm that we're going to see further extensions higher. We could see consolidation because it is testing a 50 period moving average and a long-term support and resistance. So we could see a number of days of it going sideways, but a clear bullish engulfing bang straight through that would definitely give us an indication that they're still favoring upside movements, and we could progress higher on that. Failure to do so and a close lower than that would definitely confirm consolidation, and we could see a number of days of it going sideways, and we could see a reattempt to the downside, primarily because we've been there before. We've had a failure before. The only good thing about this is that this next attempt is quite shallow. We haven't pulled back as far as the 860, which confirmed that the sentiment in this, but the bullish sentiment wasn't all there. It pulled back slightly, which gave us a favorable indication that there's still momentum in this pair to the upside, because it posted a small pullback, and that pullback was 50%. So ideally, we need to see price break above that to give us any clear indication that the US dollar is still strengthening. You can see at the moment now that the pair is trading at the lower end of the candle on a daily, confirming that there's more bearish sentiment creeping in the closer we get to this resistance level at the 893 mark, 890. So just be aware of that. So intraday, we'll put that in the 890 as our ceiling level. So we go to an hourly clock. It's fine if I can just, there we go, 892, 893. You can see ceiling level before. There's movement still to be seen in this. You can see there's a higher swing showing us that would be the trend direction on an hourly time frame. Higher swings is what you want to see from an uptrending. It's broken above the 200 period moving average, which is a good sign. It needs to stay above that now. So if it can stay above there, the 200 period moving average now on this time frame, roughly, we can draw a straight line and be brilliant. So ceiling level there, 200 period moving average at the 8835. Stays above 8835, could definitely confirm that we could see further extensions to the upside. CTC on this time frame is bullish across the board. So all we need now is a nice support level to be found at previous resistance, and that'll just confirm that we want to see further extensions higher to at least the 8930 mark, which is a previous high. Failure to do so would obviously price back to the downside, and it'll be still trading at the lower end of the wick of today's candle, confirming negativity is still in play. And we could see if a close below 88.35 occurs, then we could see price retesting prior lows at roughly the 87.65 mark. So let's use that as a port of call. So 88.35, got to stay above that to confirm further momentum to the upside. Failure to do so would see a clear indication that we're seeing price action to the downside, and we should expect further extensions lower. Remember that we are trading at the low end of the candle, so it's very important. Notice though on a 4 hour that we've now broken a 200 period moving average. It's done so in the past, but it didn't keep that momentum up, and this is where we need to be quite this is where it's so important. If we are to see further extensions on this, we need to see price trading higher than the 200 period moving average on a 4 hour, confirming that long term we're seeing bullishness creeping into this. You can notice that we've posted a support level over a number of hours. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 36 hours worth of support at one stage, and a strong support at this time frame, even though we're on a negative trend. You can see the still trading below the 200 period moving average. Institutionally, we're still negative. Then a push to the upside and a bit of hesitation. There's a 24 hours, is 18 odd hours of trading sideways, and then a break and close. So we need to see a close higher than the 83, as I mentioned. The 88,300 mark can close higher than that, would definitely confirm that we might see further extensions to the upside. By doing so, it'll post a swing high. We had a price swing here to the upside, and that's exactly what we want to see, is higher swings in a trend that's going to the upside. So if price is still to revert to the downside, 88.30 would be our support level. Okay, and that is exactly what we're seeing over here at the 88.30 level on the hourly. Very, very important. 88.35, 88.30, you can see there's definitely 200 period moving average there, so just keep that in mind. Last pair of the day is US dollar against Japanese yen. Let's have a look at the daily quickly. You'll notice that the pair is testing a 50 period moving average, and subsequently the Asian market and the European session open has seen price pull back slightly. And this comes after a bounce at the 80. You can see higher swings confirming an uptrend, and then just recently a swing higher, but now it's testing at the upper end of the range, and the 8200 mark is being tested as we speak. Round figure and the 50 period moving average on a daily time frame. So all consolidating around this area. Yesterday quite a big trading range, closed at the higher end, and you've seen price fail to break higher than that and subsequently pulling back. So what we need to see is a clear indication that price wants to continue to the upside, so we definitely see price trading higher and closing higher than 8200 during the course of today, by the end of play today. Failure to do so would see this as a consolidation mark, and we could see price reverting to the downside, and the next port of call would be our previous swing to the upside, which would be the low end of these two candles here, and it'll take us to around about the 81.56 or 81.60 mark. So keep that in mind. Failure there would definitely see the downside being a possible target. So as you can see here, a clear indication that prices pull back at 8200. So you put that in, and you can see 8200 on a 4-hour time frame is a strong resistance level. Institutionally, moving average coming into play has helped in the past to reel in price action, and you can see that we've in the 4-hour time frame swing high, swing high, swing high, swing high, dictating that we're in an uptrend. However, 8200 is a strong seeding level as we speak, and we need to see a price close higher than that. Fail to do so would obviously see price just falling back to the previous swing, and the prior swing area would be the underside of all these candles here, which is roughly at the 81.60 mark, if I'm not, or 81.50. Okay, so let's look at the small time frames, 30 minutes. Put the 8200 in as a clear indication of where price needs to be breaking higher than, and we know that 81.60 is a possible target. The failure, you can see a bearish engulfing pattern as we speak. Failure to find support here on the 50 period moving average, and consolidation here would definitely give us an indication that we're seeing further downside movement. Ideally, you can still see on the 4-hour, hourly, 30 minutes, 50 minute, we're still getting longs, CTCs blue in our favor, but this bearish engulfing here would definitely give us a clear indication that we're going to see price action fall even further, and we should act on that. A break and close lower than the 50 period moving average on this time frame as trading now. Failure to do so would definitely give us a confirmation of further downside movement for this pair. That's it for today, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. Make sure you keep your trading simple. If you are using the CTC strategy, please follow the rules, and most importantly, trade serenely.